Yes, just about 4 or 5. Oh, and also we're being delayed by about 5 minutes. Yeah. So that's what Pat said. Right now,
we're going to push the line up our 05, and then we'll have our 03 to make sure we get back online faster. We'll just have who's on. I'll let them who's on video.
Yep. Okay, Isaiah,
okay?
Yep, we have your video.
Yeah, great.
And then, so for all our guest speakers, just so you know, when we get started around 11:03, 11:05, you'll need to mute your phones on your end, and then unmute your phone when the governor introduces you. So just keep in mind on that, and then that's all I got.
Who's at 2685?
So it's Mike Kennedy. I just I dropped off and dropped back on another phone. Run the WebEx through my phone. So do you have video and audio for me?
Who's got audio?
We do not, Mike, we do not see video for you, but we do have you on audio.
We don't know. Not for mine.
Oh, we got you now.
Oh, no, okay. So we have it twice.
So who does it?
Okay, anything else you need from me? Again, this is Mike Kennedy.
Mike, I think you're good. Just mute your phone right now until you're introduced.
Mike, hey Mike, are you logged in on, okay, there we go. We had you on 2 devices.
So we just have one right now that's at it, right? Without video.
I think we got
We got everybody.
I think we got everybody.
Andrew, go ahead.
You good?
I mean, you know, turn the sound on, all that stuff.
Okay.
And just so everyone knows, for all our guest speakers on the line, your video will be up the entire time that any one of you is speaking. So just keep that in mind. And then same rules apply for muting your phone. So just unmute your phone when you're ready to talk.
Okay. Well, good morning. This week in Iowa, we hit a new all-time high in testing with 4,636 tests reported yesterday. 355 of yesterday's tests were positive for a positivity rate of 7.7%. More than 3,000 Iowans have been tested at Test Iowa sites since Monday, and more than 700 appointments are already scheduled for today. I'm also pleased to announce that we're further expanding testing criteria for Test Iowa. Previously, we expanded to allow testing for essential workforce. Later today, we'll be opening the criteria so that anyone who thinks that they should be tested can be. This is especially important as more Iowans are returning to work. So if you're interested in being tested, please go to testiowa.com and take the assessment. So this change will be effective by the end of the day. So Iowa is continuing to move forward. Gradually, we are beginning to step back into life as normal. Things aren't exactly the same as they were, but it feels familiar, and that's a welcome change. The reality is things will need to be different for a while. COVID-19 can't be eliminated. We can't prevent people from getting it, but it can be managed. If we all continue to take personal responsibility and do the right things to protect our health and the health of others. Normal will look and feel different, but I believe we'll all discover that different can look and feel pretty good. Yesterday, I announced that restrictions will be eased for more businesses and some activities that we all enjoy, like camping, swimming, and going to a movie. But perhaps the most anticipated of all was the school-sponsored activities that will be permitted to resume. Closing Iowa schools through the end of the normal school year was one of the toughest decisions I've made these last 11 weeks. For me, nothing signifies getting life back to normal more than getting our kids reconnected to their schools. And thanks to the leadership of the Department of Education Director Ann Lebo and her team and the Education Task Force, Iowa schools implemented continuous learning programs to keep students on a path forward. And while this was uncharted territory for teachers and students alike, together they stepped out of the normal and into different. And that's been a learning experience that they won't soon forget. Today, I'm pleased to have an exceptional leader and student from the Waterloo Community School District joining me today. Ryan Christopher is a fourth grade teacher at Highland Elementary School, and Isaiah McDonald is finishing his freshman year at West High School. So thank you both for being here. Mr. Christopher, I know this was an awesome and unexpected responsibility to take on. Can you tell us about your experience?
Thank you, Governor Reynolds. The opportunity to share what this experience has been like as a fourth grade teacher in Waterloo School District. As a teacher, being flexible is important. As we plan our instruction, we usually create a plan A, a plan B, and sometimes even C. Shifting to the continuous learning plan with all virtual learning was something I'd never considered. A change of this magnitude would take months to plan normally. We had a few days. So first we reached out to parents to find out which students had devices and an internet connection. Our parents were amazing partners. Many responded within minutes. I found personally 17 to 26 students had a device and an internet connection. This is where the Waterloo Schools leadership jumped into action, deciding to check out district Chromebooks to all families who did not have a device and providing support to gain internet access. Next, we had to determine how we were going to deliver our task to our students. Throughout the school year, we had used Google Classroom, which makes it easy to assign a wide variety of tasks to our students, allowing them to interact with content, providing a platform to give students feedback. The reason my fourth grade team decided to create new Google Classrooms was to make it easier to see which students had joined and who we still needed to reach. Getting students signed up was a team effort. We sent emails, made phone calls, sent text messages. Principals, counselors, and family support workers made contacts with families to ensure everyone had what they needed to continue learning. At the same time, the district was sending messages to families to encourage them to join their Google Classroom. By April 15th, I had 25 of my 26 students signed up. So what did the instruction look like? We began by reading the ebook, Mr. Popper's Penguin. As in every classroom, we have students at all ability levels. So to ensure students received the support they needed, we included a YouTube video of a teacher reading each chapter for students to follow along. Students would answer questions and turn them into the Google Classroom. On day 2, one of my students, Brigitte, suggested we do a Zoom call to discuss the book. Day 3, we discussed the chapter live. This was amazing. Families welcomed me virtually, of course, into their homes. We learned in kitchens, living rooms, bedrooms, in the backyard. I even had a student join from the car by a mobile device. Some parents and siblings sat in on the learning also. We have continued the live learning daily with good participation. The move to virtual learning was a huge shift. Seeing the need for professional development, our leadership team began to send out daily tech tips to support our instruction. Then we moved to weekly modules led by Ron Morland. In an effort to provide multiple levels of support, Ron reached out to pre-K teacher Jill Peters and myself to help provide professional learning to the whole staff. This was another place where our district shined. Every teacher from pre-K to high school, principals, and even our superintendent was taking part in the learning. We collaborated across grade levels and buildings, posting comments, asking questions, helping each other in every effort to support our students' learning. I have 2 daughters who attend West High School. Their teachers were implementing the tools from the PD immediately. Waterloo staff has always worked as a team, but nothing like this. This has been absolutely amazing. We've developed some valuable resources and tools we can use to continue to support our students in our current reality and as we hopefully return to the buildings in the fall. Teachers have created quizzes that have immediate feedback videos embedded based on student responses, video lessons that stop at key points to check for understanding. We have created virtual field trips connected to content and building background knowledge for an upcoming book. I'm very excited about our future. Instruction in Waterloo will never look the same. In closing, I want to say thank you to our families, students, and staff for their dedication to teaching and learning, as well as their patience as we navigated this challenge. I've never been more proud to be a teacher and parent in Waterloo. Thank you, Governor Reynolds.
Oh, thank you, Ryan, and thank you for all you do for our students. I really appreciate it. I love how you seized the opportunity and really thought about it in an innovative and inclusive way. And I have no doubt that your students are going to always remember this experience. So thank you so much for being a part of the press conference. So we also have joining us Isaiah, and I'm sure you've never imagined that you'd spend part of your freshman year learning from home. You want to tell us a little bit about your experience and what that's been like?
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for the introduction. Learning from home for the last 2 months has been different, as nearly every other aspect of our lives. Different is neither good nor bad. It's simply different. It's not easy to learn material because the face-to-face time helps you retain information. With that said, online classes are more direct and concise. I try keeping a routine by actually waking up in the morning and not sleeping in late every day. I wake up, eat breakfast, get ready for my classes, and in addition to classwork, I try to stay active each day. Whether that be going on a bike ride with my dad, playing tennis with my family, or just going on a walk. And yes, I even play Xbox. I also love TikTok. With Governor, you should definitely talk to your staff about getting you on TikTok. While we've managed to make it work, learning at a distance hasn't been without its challenges. Meeting weekly instead of daily has been a major change. While my teachers have done a good job of staying on Zoom calls after our classes, answering emails, and engaging us as much as possible, it's simply not the same. While the virtual worksheets are fine, nothing can replace our class pet Ozzy the bearded dragon. Seeing my classmates on a Zoom screen is okay, but we all miss walking on the hall to our next class or sitting down at a lunch table to tell a friend what happened today. I miss seeing my classmates and teammates. I even miss Mr. Garcia's jokes and dance moves. I miss the social interaction every day with some pretty great people at West High. I can't wait for track next year. This year, our season got cut short, and I was only able to run in one meet. I'm also looking forward to getting back on the football field with my teammates. Even that midnight practice Coach Moore puts on for our first official day of practice. I appreciate all the efforts by so many to keep us safe. Ultimately, Governor, I guess the takeaway from our experience over the last 2 months has been that while learning at a distance is fine, it has certainly made us all appreciate learning in person that much more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isaiah. I appreciate that very much. And I know you missed your track season, so I hope we're able to get things back on track soon, and hopefully that includes football. So keep up the great work. I really appreciate you sharing with Iowans what your experience has been like. I've done TikTok once with the IJAG class at the Capitol, so they got me involved in a little bit of a dance move. So I don't know, I've tiptoed into it just a little bit. So thanks for sharing. I appreciate that very much. So while schools can begin to offer summer learning opportunities and activities on June 1st, there's much planning and preparation needed to make that possible. So I've also asked Director Lebo to join me today and provide an overview of some of the reopening guidance so that parents of school-age children understand the plan. Ann?
Thank you, Governor Reynolds. Today, I'm excited to announce that starting June 1st, school districts and non-public schools may begin offering summer learning activities for students, such as summer school, academic enrichment programs, and activity-based camps like STEM, robotics, and drama, among others. This comes on the heels of yesterday's announcement that we're opening high school summer sports and additional recreational activities that will keep students active during the summer months. The Iowa Department of Education has been working in consultation with the Iowa Department of Public Health to determine when and how to safely open districts and non-public schools for these types of summer learning activities while protecting the health, safety, and well-being of our students, families, educators, administrators, and staff. Schools may provide summer learning using online and other distance learning approaches, but they may now also offer to choose to provide on-site learning opportunities in accordance with certain public health precautions as outlined in our new guidance. Some of the mitigation measures include screening all staff and students upon arrival, teaching and reinforcing washing hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, distancing students and staff during instruction by limiting group size, increased spacing, and limiting mixing between groups, and implementing cleaning and disinfecting schedules. It is important to note that this guidance is intended to serve as a starting point for districts and non-public schools as we take our first steps to open for students. It is also important to know that these guidelines are specific to moments in time as we transition through phases of reopening based on virus activity. This phase introduces guidelines for voluntary opportunities that involve limited numbers of students through the month of June, with expectations of new decision points by July 1. Whether a school chooses to provide in-person learning opportunities over the summer is a local decision that should be made based on the needs of their communities and in consultation with local public health officials. We have a call scheduled at 1 o'clock today with school leaders to review the guidance on summer sports, use of facilities, and summer learning and activities, and will continue to offer support to schools as we work through what the future of education will look like together. As the only state to offer summer interscholastic baseball and softball, Iowa is leading the nation, and we are confident that our coaches, parents, and players will make this a success. Please note this only applies to high school teams. All other guidelines remain in place, and the use of weight rooms and in-person out-of-season contact for other sports remain on hold until July 1. The ability to have a summer sports season is a great way for our students and communities to start finding a way forward, and there has been a general outpouring of gratitude for this decision throughout the state. I appreciate the support of our partners at Public Health and the Boys and Girls Athletic Associations, and I'm excited for what this summer will mean for our schools and families in Iowa. Thank you.
So thanks, Ann. Again, I want to commend you for your leadership during this time. In fact, Ann's first day in her new role was during the first week that COVID-19 was identified in Iowa, and she has handled it with grace and professionalism. I'm so proud to have you as part of my team. Nothing says welcome aboard like a pandemic, so thank you. Finally, yesterday's announcement that high school baseball and softball would start June 1st drew cheers across the state from coaches, players, fans, and parents. For weeks, athletes have held out hope that they'd be back on the field in time for the season, and that day is coming. Like everything else, it's going to be different, but it will be good. Today, I've asked Mike Kennedy and Eben Baumhover, head coaches of Van Meter's varsity boys baseball team and Iowa's reigning Class 2A state champions, to join me and share what this means to them, their team, and the Van Meter School District. Coach Kennedy?
Thank you, Governor Reynolds. So I think, I'd like to address first that we're really excited to have this opportunity. I'll let Coach Baum dive a little bit more into that side of things, but really want to look at the logistics and mitigation strategies that we're starting to consider as we move forward. So obviously, we need to be really deliberate and transparent in how we plan over the next 10 days, and our execution of that plan then starting on the 1st of June. From the Athletic Association, school administration, coaching staff, players, parents, community members, it's really imperative that we have a common understanding of what our mitigation practices are going to be, because player safety is really the forefront of our minds right now, more than ever. Wins and losses really won't matter at the end of this season if we don't do all that we can throughout the season to protect our student athletes, our families, and our fans. So what that looks like, obviously it's going to continue to evolve as we continue to plan for the 1st of June. However, the initial common practices the Department of Education put out yesterday that we plan to employ immediately and then continue to build on those is obviously anything that revolves around avoiding physical contact between players, coaches, and fans. Our dugouts are not going to be used for practices. Bleachers won't be used for games. Concessions will likely not be open throughout the season during any of our games. Players are going to have to bring their own supplies of food and drink, as we won't be able to provide any of those common sources anymore. Cleaning and sterilizing procedures on any shared equipment, which obviously we hope that is minimal, and we'll do all we can to prevent that. A new transportation plan, which might be an unforeseen one, but we can't put 30 kids on a bus together to go to an away game, so we've got to reevaluate how we get to games. The traditional post-game handshakes and congratulatory fist bumps when kids come off the field, we might have to re-examine those as well. Standing together for the national anthem at the beginning of games might look a little bit different. Field cleanup, which is certainly a unique one to baseball. We can't just throw 10 kids out there together and say, go congregate and get things done on the field. We've got to be really deliberate about that, assign it, do it in shifts. Practice structure might change as well, which maybe that's a good thing from a player standpoint as well. Maybe we can't just put 20 or 30 players on the field all at once and work on something, and we minimize our team time to maintain that physical distancing. So it's really, absolutely essential that we do everything we can to maintain physical distancing, protect players. But at the end of the day, we're prepared to do whatever we have to do to be successful this season, even if that success is measured in something more than wins and losses this year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Coach Baum to talk really about what this means at a more personal level for the school and the kids and the community.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to thank Governor Reynolds for tremendous leadership throughout this difficult time. I would also like to thank the Boys Athletic Association for giving us the opportunity to get our student athletes back on the field. When this announcement was made yesterday, it was a relief. The weight had been lifted and all the uncertainty of will we play was put to rest. This opportunity means everything to our players and the Van Meter community as a whole, and we hope to make them proud again this season. Our boys have been patient, and then they've endured a lot throughout this uncertain time, just as we all have. And now it's their chance to get back out there and just feel some normalcy again.
Yeah.
And there's no better place to begin that than summer nights at the Ball Diamond. To a lot of these young men on our ball club, a summer without baseball has never existed. So this is going to feel great for them. Personally, we have a big group of seniors returning this year, and they've had a really challenging year, even before the quarantine was in place. They experienced some heartbreak. So not only do they get the opportunity to enjoy one final season together, they have a little something extra that they're playing for. And I know they are sincerely grateful to get this opportunity to play summer baseball. I think these past few months have reminded us all to be thankful for our freedoms and our opportunities. And there's no better American symbol of that than baseball. It gives us all a chance to return to what we once knew as normal. There will be challenges ahead. Some are known while others will need to be addressed as they arise, but we will adjust and find avenues to overcome those obstacles. I know that the baseball community in all of the state will be excited to finally get back out and play ball.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Evan. This season is going to be much different than you'd expected, but I know you're going to continue to lead your team through it, and I wish you all the best as you get out there and defend your state title, so go Bulldogs. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of the press conference. I really appreciate it. You know, the last 11 weeks have challenged us all, but as we always do, Iowans have risen to the occasion, doing things they never imagined they'd have to do to protect themselves and others. The Iowa spirit and our willingness to do the right thing, it's what's made a difference in our state, and it's what will continue to make a difference as we move forward. So again, I want to thank everyone that participated in the press conference today, and with that, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Governor, we reported today a Lynn County official concerned about the lack of data and their ability to do contact tracing as a result.
Yep.
I was curious, what is the issue, and what are you doing to improve data communication?
Well, first of all, without having Test Iowa, we would not be able to test the significant amount of Iowans that we have. So I'm so grateful to Test Iowa to provide the number of tests that we're able to do and to set up the Test Iowa sites in right now 8 locations across the state of Iowa. In 3 short weeks, we have significantly ramped up testing opportunities for Iowans. So we should never lose sight of the fact that that's, over 1,000 Lynn County residents. Well, actually, of what was tested at Lynn County, only 60% of those were actually Lynn County residents, but that's a great step in the right direction. Do you want to talk a little bit about the details?
Sure, yeah, thank you. We are aware of the concerns that have been raised by the Lynn County Department of Public Health related to a concern about timeliness of receiving test results from the Test Iowa locations. And so we are presently in the process of looking into that. Our goal is to certainly get lab results to local public health as quickly as possible, because we understand that contact tracing and case investigation is just such an important component to be able to contain the virus when it is detected in our state. And so we are aware of the concerns, we're looking into the concerns, and we will resolve them as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Will there be more Test Iowa sites, and how does this affect the schedule of those sites going forward? For instance, it was our understanding that Woodbury County was scheduled to close after Friday. Will that be extended? Will that be moved to another location?
So right now we're able to significantly increase our testing capacity. As I said, we're opening up to anyone that wants to be tested. We have the capacity through Test Iowa right now we have 200,000 tests available, and that doesn't even count the state hygienic lab, the tests that they have available, as well as our hospitals and clinics and our Abbott machines that we have in place. And so the data that we're collecting through Test Iowa really helps us identify where and when we need to provide the additional Test Iowa sites, as well as the strike teams that we put in place too. And we'll be announcing early next week, another phase that will be opening up that will provide Iowans access to testing. So it's based on the data we're seeing where we potentially might see another cluster or maybe some increased virus activity. So the EPI team and the Department of Public Health look at the data that they're collecting, and that's how they make the decisions on where we should move the test sites. But again, we have the capacity. That's why we're opening up testing and making it available for all Iowans. I think it's really important too. It's how we can be a partner as we start to open things up and get Iowans back in the workforce. This allows us to provide that opportunity to them as well as the various businesses as well. So I think it's a really positive step in the right direction. We have the capacity to do that, and we're really refining the process. You know, if you think about it, you know, it's been 3 weeks. We took a week out to validate it, which was really important, and the State Hygienic Lab even did that in a you know, significantly shorter time frame, but they validated 100 tests, and so that came out of the process time too, which backed us up a little bit at the beginning. But now that we have that in place, we have the equipment in place, we have the test available, we're gathering the data from testiowa.com, and we're going to continue to meet the needs of Iowans as we move through the pandemic.
Will people who filled out assessments in the past be contacted by Test Iowa
So
to now
no,
schedule something?
I
or-
would go back on today, so that will be available later this afternoon. So for sure, you might want to wait even until tomorrow. Go on and do the assessment at testiowa.com, and then that we can start getting you scheduled for
So they
where we
should
can.
fill out a new assessment.
Yep. And you know, if you go on and do the testiowa.com, frequently you get a reminder to go back on and to check, you know, to give an update on if you're still feeling well, if you're experiencing any symptoms. People can proactively go back on and do another one, but you do, once you take a test, get a reminder to go back in and fill out another kind of an update on your health. And that's how we're going to continue to kind of help manage the virus. That gives us great insight into where we might see an additional virus activity that we would want to respond to and get in front of and proactively address it and educate the community. So it really is part of our overall plan in really managing and containing virus activity in the state. Did you have another question?
I do.
Okay.
Governor, for a while now, you've been recommending that anyone who can work from home and work from remotely do that. As more parts of the state continue to open up, are you going to continue recommending that for businesses?
Yeah, I think that that's part of the guidance from the Department of Public Health that we've provided to businesses. If you can do that and you can make that work to provide that opportunity to Iowans, especially if you're an Iowan who is more vulnerable, that may have some underlying conditions, that may be in the older category, that we know by data, it's that 20% that are significantly more impacted by COVID-19. And so if you fall into one of those categories and your employer can provide you the opportunity to do that, we're suggesting that you do that. And sometimes there's other measures that they can take to isolate you, to make sure that you're not around other employees or colleagues at the place of business too. So there's a lot of great examples in the guidance that the Department of Public Health provides our businesses.
With that data sharing issue in Lynn County, is that widespread? Are other counties experiencing that? And as testing is opened up, like, can there be confidence that that amount of data will be able to be spread to the different parts of the state?
Change is hard. And as we learn new things and as we modernize the system and as we bring on new capacity, everybody's learning new things. And so we're dumping the data, I think, three times a day. So the data is being updated, so they have the opportunity to pull it down. So if there is an issue there, we're going to find out about that and we're going to correct it. But they're getting the information and will continue to get the information in a timely manner. We've significantly reduced the time that it takes to process the test because of the Test Iowa and the processes that we brought on board in addition to what they were able to do at the State Hygienic Lab. So we're increasing our capacity from that perspective as well. We're doing runs throughout the day so that we're really being systematic in how we're getting the test samples to the State Hygienic Lab so they can really manage their workflow, so we're not dumping it all at the end. So I think collectively every day we're getting better, we're learning more as a team. And again, I want to remind Iowans, it's been about 2 weeks, so the amount of effort and time that has been put into this by a lot of great people. I'm proud of what we've been able to do, and I'm excited about how we're just going to continue to enhance it. Just like every day we learn something new about COVID-19. We're going to learn as we move through this process, and we're going to continue to do better. I want to just talk about everything. We get so hung up on testing, too. There's so many other things that Test Iowa has made available through the system. First of all, it's modernized the system, so we were hand rating the data and hand entering, and with the QR code, code. It now can automatically populate the data. We have a website that provides Iowans real-time information so they can go on and see, what's happening in their area. So we have a call center that we've been able to set up to really answer Iowans' questions when they may be, have a question or concern, to not understand the process. So every day we're bringing more and more opportunities online, and that is in addition to the partnership that we have with the State Hygienic Lab and what they're doing. It's improved their processes, which streamlines the amount of time to process the test. So all of that is really good news for Iowans, and really good news for our ability to really manage and contain the virus activity as we move through this.
James Lynch, Cedar Rapids Gazette. James, go ahead.
Thank you, Governor. You started by saying the new normal can look and feel pretty good. However, the public health is reporting 20 deaths today, which I believe is the most since they started reporting COVID deaths.
Yeah.
Does that and should that cause you to reconsider relaxing the guidelines that have been in place that researchers say probably reduce the cases of COVID by nearly a third in Iowa?
No, we're making our decisions. We're doing it in a phased-in approach. We're doing it very responsibly and safely. And business after business that I've talked to, they're doing everything that they can to make sure that they're protecting not only their employees, but their customers that come in. Anytime we lose anybody, it's horrific, it's horrible. It's probably one of the hardest things that we report out on. But, the data continues to tell us that for the 20% of Iowans who are vulnerable, 65 and older, and those that have underlying conditions, COVID-19 can be devastating. And so just like we've continued to say from the very beginning, if you fall into that category, nothing has changed. You need to, stay home, limit your trips to essential trips, and when you're out in the public, social distance, make sure that you have a face covering with you. Think about the individuals in your family that work outside and the exposure that may bring into the household. So, you have to really think about things like that. I do want to just say, a heartfelt thanks to our doctors and our nurses and our providers, because, it is horrific, the number of deaths, but because of the great care that they're providing for Iowans nationally, still, Iowa, we have one of the lower death rates, and so any death is horrible. But they are providing great care to Iowans, and Iowans are doing the right thing, and I think if we continue to do that, it's a lagging effect that we will manage this and hopefully see those numbers go down.
We're going to go to David Pitt, the Associated Press.
Yes, Governor, thank you. So it appears Iowa may have reached a plateau, at least in its daily new positive case counts. But I'm told that the impact of reopening restaurants, malls, and salons last Friday probably won't be known until the first week of June. I do understand the logic of a phased reopening, but what's the rationale for yesterday's announcement of further expansion of movie theaters and soon bars when we don't yet know the impact of the May 15th reopening?
Well, because we are seeing positive results. We are seeing the trends going down. We're seeing the positivity rate go down. Yesterday it was 7.7%. We're seeing our days to double. Now we're at 23. Our rolling 14-day average continues to go down. And because we can look at the data in real time again, and with the testing capacity that we have and our ability to continue to ramp that up as we continue to open businesses, we can be a partner in that, and we can manage and monitor and contain virus activity across the state. We have never said that nobody would ever, we were going to prevent people from getting COVID-19. That's unrealistic. It's unattainable. What we have to do is learn to live with it and manage the virus, and we have to get things back to normal. You never want to talk about the other side of that. You never want to talk about children that are locked in homes with abusive parents that don't have eyes on them like they used to do when they were at school. You don't talk about the increase in people that suffer from substance abuse. We don't talk about the impact of Iowans who have lost their jobs and are sitting at their kitchen table trying to figure out how they're going to pay their mortgage or buy food for their families. There is a cost increase in mental illness. There is a societal cost also to just shutting down and not realistically moving forward through this pandemic. We can do it. We are doing it. We're going to continue to do it, and we're going to continue to manage it. But I'm telling you, I have faith in Iowans and their ability to be personally responsible, and I have tremendous faith in our businesses because they are demonstrating it every day in how thoughtful they are being and the proactive mitigation efforts that they are putting in place to protect their employees and to protect their customers.
We're going to 2 more questions. Chris with KCCI.
Hi there, Governor. So just this past day in Wright County, there have been 40 new cases reported. Was curious if you have any insight on why that is and what's being done about that.
Well, we're testing more, so we are going to see some uptake in positive cases. Remember, 80% of those that are tested positive will, a lot of times have mild symptoms. Oftentimes, we're seeing about 10%, a pretty good percentage of individuals who are asymptomatic, so this will help us track some of those cases as well. So we'll continue, the EPI team and the Department of Public Health will continue to take a look at the data. We can look at it, honestly, from, as we've said, state, county, community, zip code, so we really can even take a look throughout the county to see if most of it is stabilizing or decreasing, or if there's one specific zip code where we're seeing maybe a little bit of a uptick in virus activity. Then we drill down with the case investigation, which allows us to really get to the bottom of it to see maybe where it's coming from, if there's a particular business maybe that we need to take a look at and work with, or a congregate setting, or what that may look like. So, they'll continue to go through the information and make those decisions going forward. Excuse me. Okay, Kay?
Go ahead, Kay.
Thank you, Governor. I'm wondering if you could give a clue to Iowans who want to get one of these tests now that it's opened up to everyone. How does the line form? Will you be first in line if you had already filled out that assessment, or how will Test Iowa determine the appointments that they're going to make for Iowans now that anyone who wants a test can get a test?
So I'm pretty sure this is, so they go on and they schedule their appointment. So Iowans are in charge of that. So they'll take the assessment, they'll send them a link, and then they go on and they actually look at the available appointments and they schedule it. So again, we're going to learn as we ramp up and continue to offer this opportunity to more Iowans. There's maybe going to be some bumps along the way, but that's to be expected. So, but right now you go on, take the assessment, it'll indicate that you qualify for test, it'll give you the schedule or wherever you can get the test done in your area, which that's what we're going to be announcing next week, some available opportunities for that. Then you schedule the appointment and then you go in and you get it done. So thank you.